Jonathan, unicorns are going to unicorn, and Shohei Ohtani proved once again that he is the unicorn, and you and I are going to discuss his greatness. We're also going to talk about former Angels and former Royals that played for both teams. We're going to talk about Zack Greinke and ask this question: what if he stayed? I'm excited about that conversation. And we're going to pick our Angel All-Stars and talk about some future Angel All-Stars. You're Locked On with Mike and Jon, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Those listening on the audio side, you can rate and review the pod. It helps people find it. And if you're watching on the video side, you can subscribe and click the bell to be notified every single time a new episode drops.
Hey, thank you for joining us for this edition of Locked On Angels. You've got the Frisch brothers here with you, aka the Super Halo Bros. My name is Jon, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother Jon.
And I'm feeling extra Super Halo Bro tonight because the Angels got a big win, and I just want to say you're welcome. I brought my
whenever you show up, right? It's whenever you show up, they seem
That's right.
to pull out a victory. So I'm going to need you to figure out what your schedule looks like for the rest of June, July, August, and September, and even October, because if you're going and they're winning, they're going to the playoffs. And so if you can make that work, we would greatly appreciate it. And that is not a request. That is a demand from your older brother.
Yes. Hey, well, let me first say that this segment is brought to you by Locked On Angels listener Chris Cook, who reached out and said, hey, got 2 tickets to the game tonight. Can't think of anyone better than you guys to use them. Now, Mike, I know you weren't able to make it to this game, but I was
in dad mode.
Yeah, I was able to take our mutual nephew, Tyler, with us. So shout out to Tyler. And he and I had a great time at this game. And boy, I posted, I said, don't worry, everyone, I'm bringing my good luck to the game. And everyone said, with this lineup? And look, I had the same exact feelings with this lineup in this economy.
Yeah.
But I knew that the AAA Angels featuring Shohei Ohtani would be able to get it done, because anytime we have a lineup that's the Salt Lake Bees and we're like, oh, great, no Trout, no Walsh, no heavy hitters other than Shohei, and we all have our doubts. What do? They shut out the Royals, who they struggled against the last 2 games, and win 5-0, Mike.
Yeah, this is a game that I think everybody kind of expected. They knew that the offense would struggle a bit. I had a feeling that he was going to mow through the Royals, because whenever Shohei plays a team that isn't that great, it looks like he's playing a AAA team, because they just were lost last night. And in that first inning, because of the celebration, Shohei wasn't able to actually get on the mound when the game was supposed to start. And so he starts warming up as they're taking the chairs off the field, right? And Gubaza said, your rhythm is really important when you're getting ready to start.
Yeah.
And Shohei looked a little off in that first inning, but after that first inning, man, he settled in and he settled down, and it was fantastic. And what a night to do it, right? To celebrate the 2002 World Series winning team. You were there. You got to see all the guys. How cool was that?
That was amazing. And, the fact that we had the 2002 team and this lineup tonight, it was like kind of a disservice to what we were celebrating. But here we are with a win after a great ceremony. Look, seeing all those guys and seeing them all in person was amazing. Scioscia got a huge ovation.
What's he doing now? Is he busy?
He doing? He's doing something. Was it College World Series, or I can't remember what he was doing, but
it doesn't sound important. I wonder if he wouldn't mind maybe coming back,
returning a little bit. And then GA got a great ovation.
Yeah.
First of all, Erstad. In fact, Erstad and Tim Salmon both spoke. And it was just a lot of fun. Lackey, people went crazy for John Lackey. That was awesome.
I heard that on the TV side. Yeah.
Oh, were they in the booth? Right on. Right on.
Yeah, they actually brought them up in the booth. It was Lackey and Scott Shields. And so they had a really great conversation. And then they brought in Scott Spiezio. And Spiezio actually shared a bit of his story, which was really interesting, something I didn't know. So after he left the Angels, he did go to the Cardinals. He won in 2006. But then he was on the IL for like the next year or the next 2 years. He said he got caught up in drinking. And he's never done that before, and it really became an addiction and a problem for him.
Wow.
He's been sober now for 4 years, and he talked about how he's sharing his story and working at his church. And so it was just a really cool, hopeful story on a really fun night celebrating that 2002 team.
That's really great because I was a little shocked at seeing Spiezio. To be honest, like, look, I'm not a bod guy.
Right.
Like, I'm not bragging, but it was just like, oh my goodness, Spiezio. Yeah. And so it makes sense that he had gone through some hard times, but wow, 4 years sober. That's really incredible. I'm glad to hear that.
And we wouldn't have won the series without him. So that was the thing that they talked about in the booth was his home run and how he helped us to win the series. But you got to tell me what it was like watching Shohei on the mound last night, Johnny. I mean, this guy crushed it. 8 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, 13 strikeouts. It was amazing to watch on TV. Yeah. How was it there?
A new personal record for Shohei. It was incredible trick in person. In fact, there was a point where Tyler and I went, wait, how many strikeouts does he have? And I had to look it out and be like, hey, he's got 12. He could break the record. And in fact, Tyler said, do you think he comes back out for the 8th? And I'm like, I don't know. Because I think at that point he was at like 92 pitches or 94 or something like that. I was like, I really don't think he comes back out for that 8th inning. And he certainly did. And that was what was allowed. That's what allowed him to get that 13th strikeout. So, man, even a friend of ours, Mello, and he's part of a group called Around the Diamond on Instagram. So shout out to them. They have been friends of ours since we began the Super Halo Bros podcast. Mello's a Dodger fan. And he showed up because he wanted to see Ohtani pitch. And he figured, what the heck? I got some free time. And so he was excited to be there as well. And he actually said, hey, Angel Stadium ain't that bad. And I said, it certainly is not. It's not spectacular. It's not, his like dumbfounding in the way that like, PNC Park is cool or, the special parks. But I said, it's easy to get in the park. It's easy to get out.
I was going to say that exact thing.
Very basic.
That's the best part, right? Like you get in and you get out. And you didn't get to see this, but Phil Nevin's interview after the game, he actually said about that 8th inning, he went to Shohei and Shohei looked at him and said, expletive, I'm going back in. He said, you're not taking me out of this game. And so Shohei was going to go back in. And then they actually had a discussion about him going in the 9th. And he said Shohei was a little bit more flexible and gracious in that moment. But that was the discussion on the TV side was, is he going to come back out? Because when he was in the dugout, he was pacing. He wasn't sitting down. He wasn't icing. He didn't have a jacket on. He was ready to come back in again. And Gooby was like, he looks focused. And so they were waiting. And then they saw Tepera come out and they said, I guess that's the sign that Shohei's not coming back into the game. But he finished with 108 pitches. And John, I love stats, and I didn't realize that Shohei's stats are actually pretty great on the pitching side. He's 6-4 with a 2.90 ERA, and if he keeps this pace up, he's in Cy Young contention, right?
I mean, at the very least,
incredible.
We need people to realize that hey, you voted Yordan Alvarez is first place in the DH so far, but does Yordan pitch? Does Yordan have a 2.90 ERA?
Listen, we're going to talk all about the All-Stars coming up, and that's the point I want to make is nobody wants to see Yordan Alvarez in the All-Star game, Astro fans. Nobody wants to see him. Everybody wants to see Shohei. Even if Shohei was playing for you, I would vote for him. So knock it off, okay?
Yeah, no kidding.
Here's a great stat, John.
What are we, the 2015 Royals or?
Yes, right? Although those are players I would have wanted to see. Here's a great stat. This was the 10th shutout for the Angels in 72 games this year. Dude, they had 10 shutouts in the last 3 seasons combined.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Amazing. Amazing. So what a great game to go to. A couple of notes before the game. We heard that Detmers was optioned, so Perry's been listening to the podcast.
I was just going to say, are they listening to Locked On Angels? Because it seems like it. We
literally
said that yesterday.
What other decisions do we need to make?
Let's let's trade for Miguel Andujar and let's
Aaron
call up
Judge,
Kai
no.
Busch.
We just start naming off stuff. Wouldn't that be amazing if it happened? And then Herget, did he go to the IL? There was a conversation about him going to the IL. Okay.
Yeah,
he was hurt and his
stuff.
shoulder was sore, right? And so Peguero and Ollie Ortega were brought up. Obviously didn't pitch last night. Tepera looked great, which I thought was really awesome to see.
Peguero and Ortega, those are people. They're certainly pitchers, Mike.
They're exist.
Certainly pitchers.
Well, the Mariners have a day off today. We start a weekend series against the, I said the Mariners. The Angels have a day off
We're
today.
Angel fans, Mike.
And we're playing the Mariners this weekend. I'm just excited that you got to see Shohei live. That's really a whole lot of fun.
It was a great experience, a great time, and so great to see that 2002 team in person, something that I will never forget. So shout out once again to Chris Cook for being an amazing listener and just being so kind and so generous and just giving me and our nephew Tyler the chance to have a special night at Angel Stadium. Thank you, Chris Cook.
Well, Locked On Angels is brought to you by BlueNile.com. At BlueNile.com is your original online jeweler since 1999. They have helped millions
and millions
of couples create their perfect engagement ring. Blue Nile is committed to ensuring the highest ethical standards are observed when sourcing diamonds and jewelry. And if it's not perfect, no problem. 100% satisfaction guarantee. They want you to shop stress-free when you're looking for that engagement ring or that diamond ring or that special purchase for the one that you love. And they actually guarantee free shipping and returns. And so if you need this purchase real fast, in most cases, they can deliver overnight. And if your every order is insured, it arrives in a discreet packaging and it won't give away what's inside that package. So it can still remain a surprise. Make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com, and Locked On Angel listeners get $50 off purchases of $500 or more. Use the promo code Locked On at checkout. That's Locked On at checkout. Go to BlueNile.com today.
We want to thank you for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Now, NBA fans, this is very important. You need to make your second listen after this episode of Locked On Angels. Go to Locked On NBA. Check out their channel. They are going live on NBA draft night. So if you have a favorite team in the NBA, make sure you subscribe to that team's Locked On YouTube channel so you'll get notified when they go live on draft night. They're going to be taking a look at all the players and what teams they go to. So if you want to find out who's going to your favorite team, get subscribed to your favorite team's Locked On YouTube channel right now, and you'll be all set for NBA draft night.
Johnny, we've been talking about, since we've been playing the Angels, the players that have been on the Royals.
You did it again.
Man, I did it again, didn't I? Boy, I'm struggling tonight. Let me start this over. Johnny, we've been talking about the Angels and the Royals and the players that have been on both teams. You would have thought I was at the game and had to drive home and actually do this.
Seriously.
I'm not.
I got to carry the team like Shohei, apparently.
I'm even wearing my jersey. Maybe that's it. So anyway, we've been talking about the players that have been on both teams, and this is the final part of that conversation. And there are two players that we wanted to mention. One we want to talk about for a bit, but the first we wanted to acknowledge, and that was Bob Boone.
Yeah.
He actually spent the latter part of his career with the Halos and then the Royals. He spent most of the first part of his career with the Philadelphia Phillies, but he also managed the Royals in the mid-90s for 3 seasons. And so shout out to Bob Boone. He was a great Angel and one of those guys that we enjoyed. Mark Gubas had talked about how great it was to have Bobby behind the dish when he was working with him and playing with him. And so the other player that we want to talk about is Zack Greinke.
Yes, sir.
Zack was with the Royals to start his career.
Yeah.
And then he's bounced around a bit, but he's been great everywhere he goes. And now he's back with the Royals.
He is.
And we actually had him on our team back in 2012, the same year that we signed CJ Wilson and the same year that we signed Albert Pujols. And he pitched for us for just a short time. Here's the staff that he joined: Wilson,
yes,
Herron,
yes,
Weaver, and Santana. And then Greinke What a starting five that is, right?
Yeah, no
And
kidding.
at the time when we made that trade, we were 4 games back in the West and we were leading in the wild card. And I read an article yesterday that talked about that trade from the day that the trade happened.
Yeah.
And they said, I don't know about this because the Angels traded 2 of their top 3 prospects. And I'll tell you that these guys are really going to be great when they get to the major leagues. The only one that actually has panned out is Gene Segura.
Right.
And he's been average, maybe at best. He's had some really good years, but I think the Angels actually won that trade. But here's the problem. We didn't make the playoffs that year. We only
Right.
won 89 games that year. And here's the problem. Why there was a problem. The bullpen. Do you remember who our closer was in 2012?
Do I?
Yeah.
Ernesto Frieri. Ugh. Good
Talk about
grief, man.
lobbing softballs. He looks like Aaron Loop. He was the original version of Aaron Loop, right? Greinke actually had a pretty good run with us. 13 starts. He was 6-2, 3.53 ERA. Here's my question to you, Johnny. What if he stayed?
Mike, this question frustrates me because you and I had a conversation a few days ago about the contracts that the Angels have given out since 2010. And there's 2 people who fell victim to the Josh Hamilton contract. And no, they're not you and I because we were duped to believe that he was going to be helpful. It was Torrey Hunter.
I know who you're talking about.
It was Torrey Hunter and Zack Greinke.
Yes.
Because we gave that huge contract to Josh Hamilton, we didn't bring back Torrey Hunter, who had a few more good years after he played with us. I think he went back to the Twins.
He did,
if I'm not mistaken.
He went to Detroit, and then he went back to the Twins. And in Detroit, he played really, really well.
He did. And Greinke, there was a lot of money that could have been spent on keeping Greinke around. And look, I think 2013 totally is a different kind of year. I know that we really struggled that year.
Yeah.
But what if he stayed? You want to know what would happen if he stayed?
Yeah,
Let's take a look at what he did the next 3 years with the Dodgers. He won 77% of his games over that 3-year span. 51-15, a 2.30 ERA.
Good grief.
His final year with the Dodgers, he led the league in ERA and had 19 wins. And you know who he was competing with for Cy Youngs and MVPs? Just a man named Clayton Kershaw. So that rotation had Clayton Kershaw and Zack Greinke in it.
Yeah. They were amazing.
Here's our 2013 without him.
Okay, be gentle.
Okay, well, of course we have Jared Weaver.
Yep.
CJ Wilson.
Yep.
Your favorite, Joe Blanton.
Oh, gosh.
Jerome Williams. Jason Vargas, who actually...
He was decent.
Yes. And Tommy Hanson, who I think pitched a total of 1 inning through his Angel tenure, something like that.
Well, he got hurt and then a few years later ended up passing away. And
that's right.
Remember that?
Gosh.
And so it was just really sad. And he actually had a great start in his career with the Braves. And so when we got him, he was kind of tapering off, but there was some hope there. But can you imagine? They wouldn't have made that deal and wouldn't have signed him, and maybe wouldn't even have had some of those other guys like Blanton. I remember when they were showing him off at press conference. It was like, why are we celebrating this? He had 1 good year. Can you imagine if Greinke was on our team then? Man, it would have been Wilson and Weaver and Greinke and Vargas and perhaps even Williams would have been that 5th starter. That good grief.
Totally
Josh Hamilton money really ruined it for us, didn't it?
It really did. Yeah, those contracts really messed us up during those years. And it just goes to show that even if you go out and get the best possible trade prospect that you can get, I mean, 2012, what do? You solidify that rotation. And that's what they did.
Yeah.
But you know what I didn't realize? I didn't understand that the 2012 Angels had a lot of hitting problems that year.
Yeah.
I remember how good that rotation was. And the very little run support that they were getting, which is super odd when you think about the fact that you had Pujols and Trout and Trumbo.
Yeah. Was that the year that Mickey Hatcher got fired?
2012? I think so.
I think
he was there. He was there on last night too.
I saw him. Yeah, I saw him sitting in the back. I don't remember him getting announced.
Because
did they announce him?
They did. Yeah.
Okay.
He got fired because Pujols was off to such a bad start. And
That's what it
so,
was.
yeah.
That's right. Because I remember how awful it was, and we're like, "What is happening?" And then Mickey got fired, and then there was some tension with the front office and Mike
Mhm.
Scioscia that year. You're right. That's why they were hitting terribly that
And
year.
not to mention the bullpen, like you already said. Yeah, the
Right.
bullpen was
Right.
not fantastic either.
Not
So.
hitting. Bullpen was terrible. Man, that sounds so familiar. I don't know. I
Hmm.
can't put my finger on it. Well, Locked On Angels is brought to you by our friends at Athletic Greens. Right now is the time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition from Athletic Greens. With one scoop of AG1 in a cup of water every day, you can fill your body with, get this, 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day. AG1 is a lifestyle-friendly choice. If you eat keto or paleo, did I say that right, John? He made fun of me the other day when I said it
No,
wrong.
it's paleo.
Paleo. See? This is why you're on the team. Vegan, dairy-free.
Again, Shohei carrying the team.
Gluten-free. AG1 will work for anybody, even if you eat paleo. AG1 contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals, nothing artificial, and it does taste really good. This supplement supports better sleep quality, recovery, mental clarity, alertness. So many people have tried AG1 so far and have loved it. Right now, it has over 7,000 5-star reviews. It's recommended by professional athletes, trusted by leading health experts. Go to athleticgreens.com today. Start choosing better health. And it gets even better. Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you got to do is go to athleticgreens.com/MLB Network. That's athleticgreens.com/MLB Network to take ownership of your health.
For our last segment of the day, we want to talk about the Angels who should be all-stars in 2022. Last year, we had to fight ferociously to make sure Jared Walsh was an all-star. And
Yeah.
even though Trout was injured, he was able to be an all-star. So that was great. And we can't forget that Shohei Ohtani was an all-star as both a pitcher and the DH. So that was very special and unique to see.
Yep.
And really awesome. So Mike, let's go down a list here and talk about the guys who should be all-stars this season. How about Mike Trout?
I think that's the most obvious one. I think he's going to get voted in. He's going to play center field, and Trout is going to be an all-star, I think, until Trout retires. He's going to get the Derek Jeter treatment. He's going to get the Alex Rodriguez treatment because he is just the most famous Angel. And I think everybody, when they think of center field or they think of an outfielder to vote for, they see his name, they're going to put Mike Trout down. So I think 100% that he deserves to be at this game and deserves to be starting in this game.
And you take a look at Ohtani's stats, like you mentioned earlier. What was it? A 2.90 ERA, 6-4. That's all-star territory to me.
Yeah.
And he's doing it on both sides. He's hitting and he's pitching. So he needs to be in there at DH. And even if he doesn't get voted in, which he should get voted in.
He should get voted in. We're ridiculous if we don't vote him in.
It's turning into the high school popularity contest with this,
most
this
likely to be
system.
annoying, Yordan Alvarez starting at DH. What about Taylor Ward, John? He got off to such a great start and then got hurt, and he hasn't been bad since he's come back. He hasn't been on fire like he was before, but do you think that Taylor Ward at least gets chosen as a backup for the All-Star game, or do you think that he is going to get skipped over because of the big names Trout and Ohtani on the Angels?
No, I think he'll get he's actually up there in the voting, which I was surprised.
I did see that, yes.
Happy to see that. I don't think that he will be top 3 in voting, obviously.
Yeah.
However, I will say that because of the fact that they chose Walsh last year as a backup, I think that Taylor Ward could easily be chosen as a backup. And it's Dusty Baker, right? He's going to be choosing the team. So yeah, I think Dusty is smart enough to choose Taylor Ward because I think he deserves to be there. And sometimes, Mike, I think you have to think about how often are these guys going to get this close to being an all-star? And I wonder if that's a thought that goes through the manager's head. Obviously, you have your starters and you have your guys that you want to be there.
Right.
But at the same time, you're thinking, that I would not wish this on him, but like maybe somebody's thinking, is Taylor Ward ever going to do this again?
Sure.
And is Shohei Ohtani ever going to do this again? Obviously, yes.
Yeah.
And so I just wonder if that's I just wonder if that's a thought that these managers have where it's like, it's a backup. It's not that significant. This game is
Right.
not even really that significant anymore. It
Right.
doesn't determine home field advantage anymore. It's
Yeah.
just a fun showcase. So I really hope that Dusty Baker will choose Taylor Ward for this team.
Do you think Walsh makes it? Do you think that he gets chosen too? I am wondering if Ward's going to be the Walsh pick for the Angels this year.
Yeah. I think with Vladdy Guerrero, who will probably be voted in.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of, Jose Abreu is probably in front of Walsh too.
Yeah.
Walsh
can play left field.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, I think he was selected as a first baseman.
He was selected as first base.
Along with, and Matt Olson as well.
Yes.
And that was something that, like, look, I know the A's were our rivals and Matt Olson destroyed us, but it was like, that man deserves to be at the All-Star game.
Oh, for sure.
And he didn't get voted in, but fortunately him and Walsh were both selected last season. So yeah, I don't know, man. I just think that, I think you're right. I think that Taylor Ward is this year's Jared Walsh, because I think Jared Walsh had a hotter start to last season, even though this is funny. Even though his second half of the entire first half has been better, if you follow me.
Yeah.
I think Walsh is really turning a corner. I still think that possibly he might get out chosen basically. And hopefully there will be some Angel representation in the form of Taylor Ward.
Yeah. The stats that are always interesting are the ones when you look at the entire season of a player and you're like, how did they not make the All-Star game? But if their stats aren't super great by the All-Star game, most often they don't get selected. But then at the end of the year, maybe they have a great August and a great September. You're like, he had 45 home runs? How come he didn't make it there? Right. There's a few guys that come off the top of my head that I'm thinking about. Like, I can't believe they weren't there. I think that when it comes to Rysel, I think he makes it just because he's a well-known dominant closer, even though he hasn't been a dominant closer like he was last year. I think that he still has the second half of the year to really pick that up. But I think that he actually gets to the game. Do you?
I do. But do you also remember Rysel's first half last year wasn't that spectacular either? He got the job done.
Yeah.
But don't you remember the game where he lobbed one to third and it went past whoever was over there at the time? I'm not sure if it was Rendon or not.
It was me. Because I was playing.
It wasn't really until the All-Star break that Rysel really cemented himself as the top closer in the league. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, he was certainly a capable and great closer beforehand, but I think people really started to recognize around the trade deadline because people wanted Rysel.
Yes.
How good he was doing.
Yeah.
But I remember him struggling in Arizona, giving up home runs. I remember him struggling very early on at home. And I think that we're kind of seeing the same pattern. I think as the season goes on, I think Rysel will become even stronger going forward. But as far as this All-Star game goes in July, I think he deserves to be there.
I agree. So I'm going to read off some names, and then you just give me a yes or no if you think that these guys will be All-Stars, maybe potentially like 2-time, 3-time, or multiple-time All-Stars. All right.
Okay.
So how about Brandon Marsh?
Oh yeah, 100%.
How about Joe Adell?
Yes, in a few years. Yeah.
Okay. Max Stassi?
No.
He's got to come through, man. Our mutual friend who has been my texting buddy for Angel Games, RJ, texted me last night and he was like, Stassi's driving me nuts. I can't stand that guy. And yet his stats, he actually is above average as a hitting catcher, but it just seems like even last night he had a couple of opportunities to come through and he just hasn't come through.
There's no good catchers in baseball other than you see Royals catcher, gosh, names
Perez. Yeah, Salvador Perez.
Yep. Salvador Perez. The guy on the Blue Jays who is making a case.
Kirk, I think his last name is Kirk.
Yes,
something like that. Yeah.
And then freaking Jonah Heim on the Rangers. Like,
how dare you bring him up? All right, let me give you a couple extra names here.
Okay,
Rendon.
Pass.
Patrick Sandoval.
Oh, 100%.
Reed Detmers.
Yes, totally.
Any other names that aren't on there that we should talk about?
I still say Fletcher's going to do it one day.
Yeah.
1 year. I thought this would be the year, and unfortunately he got hurt. And I think the last 2 years I've said Fletcher's going to be an all-star, and I'm just waiting around for it. So get better, David Fletcher. and get back soon because I miss you.
Well, we appreciate you making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. And now, because the draft is coming up, you should make the Ultimate NBA Mock Draft your second, maybe third listen after you listen to the Locked On NBA channel, because they have selected their mock draft for the NBA draft. You can search Ultimate NBA Mock Draft right now. They have a whole bunch of draft experts and insiders, especially our friends from the Locked On NBA Big Board. They're going to give you their thoughts as to who goes where, and then you can compare it when you're actually watching the NBA draft. It's a 5-episode series, so you can actually search Ultimate NBA Mock Draft right now and check out the picks that they have made, and again, compare it to the draft that's coming up in the NBA.
Thank you once again for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. And if you want to get into our mentions on Twitter, you can add us at Locked On Angels. And you can also connect with Mike and I at Super Halo Bros on both Twitter and Instagram. Mike, we don't have a game happening on Thursday, but we still have a full show. I should say Friday? What day is it? Friday.
Yeah. We have no game on Thursday.
No game today. No game today.
Yes.
And Friday, we have a great full show for you. What do we have on deck for Friday's show?
Okay, so we are actually going to talk about how the Angels haven't made any moves when Rendon went down and brought anybody up. So you and I are going to put on our GM hats since Perry Manassian listens to this show, and we're going to tell Perry about the deals that he needs to make so that the Halos can actually get to the playoffs and be a contending team this year.
Be a contender. All right, that sounds like a good conversation. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
And we'll see you right here tomorrow for more Locked On Angels.